point out that, unfortunately, when we saw the longest shutdown in 2019, it ended because you had ground stops at LaGuardia by the FAA, and then you ended up having thousands of flights delayed, and I think something like 650 cancellations. So unfortunately, you might have to get to that point for Congress and President Trump to get together. The last thing I'll point out is I worked on Capitol Hill in 2013 with the shutdown under Obama, and he made a point to visualize the shutdown and the pain that he was causing by shutting down the national parks, by barricading the World War II memorials. And you see with Republicans right now, they're doing the opposite, where President Trump's trying to make sure the military gets paid, and Republicans in Congress are trying to make sure federal workers get paid.
All right, so John, Capitol Hill explain for me, if you can. What is this? What is this mysterious leverage that Democrats like Catherine Clark say they've got by making people suffer?
When I saw that scene, and Chad brought it on our program yesterday, I was reminded of the scene from Love Actually, where Natalie accidentally swears in front of the Prime Minister, and the staff looks at her and she goes, just came out. Oops. I didn't mean it. I mean, she said the quiet part out loud, but it dovetails with what Chuck Schumer said. We're in a better position than ever.
But how is that true? What position are they in?
Well, that's a really
the left-wing radicals.
Do they like me?
They're catering to the base. The base is saying fight, 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 regardless of what happens, regardless of any sanity, regardless of any rationality, about actually looking at the issues and examining them and figuring out what's the best way out of this. It's like J.B. Pritzker and Brandon Johnson in Chicago. We know exactly what's happening with illegal immigration, and the residents there are up in arms saying, what are you doing? Donald Trump wants to put in the National Guard to protect the Broadview facility, and J.B. Pritzker, because he wants to run for president, is saying, no, 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 no. I mean, it's the old battle. Who's got a bigger megaphone, if you will, but that's what it's coming down to there, and it's the same thing between with the Democrats. They want to get health care. They have been offered a vote on health care. They're not taking
they have health care
on it. No.
They haven't, because Thune has said, as you're about to say, the minute this gets closed, the very next hour.
A vote, but that's not good enough, because they want it in. They're saying that there's this deadline of November the 1st, that open enrollment starts, and that's when the premiums are set. But every day that they keep it shut is a day closer we are to November the 1st. So if they really wanted to fix health care, why wouldn't you open it, negotiate? Because I've talked to people who believe that if they were to take a vote on extending the Obamacare tax credit, it would probably pass.
Emily?
Yeah, I hearing them speak so callously and strategically, like it's a chessboard, but knowing that it's American lives. And I confirmed with the Secret Service that was here in this building the other day, protecting a faithful public servant. They're not getting paid. We show the ICE agents. They're enduring public ridicule and scorn and assaults by illegal immigrants. They're not getting paid right now. I mentioned the other day that I spent this weekend with many couples, both of whom derive their income from the government. So a mother and a father not getting their paychecks. And that's considered leverage at the behest of the minority whip. I mean, to me, that exemplifies how callous and cruel these lawmakers are. They have two jobs: draft your laws and fund the government. And it is an abdication of their duty that they still enjoy the paychecks they are lucky I pay, when so many of our military and public members of this administration and the law enforcement, etc., are not getting their paychecks right now. To me, it's despicable, and no amount of strategizing explains that part away.
Yeah.
Emily really is personalizing what this shutdown is doing. There are people that going without paychecks, and that's appalling, which is why I'm so interested in this test vote. So you won't open the government, a clean CR, 13 times of which you voted to do the exact same thing with Chuck Schumer. Well, how will you vote to pay the military and federal workers? I imagine it's just going to be Catherine Cortez Masto, a Democrat, along with Angus King, an independent, and then John Fetterman with Republicans. I imagine that's what the vote will look like, which is appalling. Good for you, John Fetterman, who I'll have on this Saturday on Saturday in America, for saying, I will always vote to pay workers. I will always vote. It is rare to have a voice in a party that's willing to exert itself, and he was pretty much the only one doing that. Then you had Catherine coming on board, and along with Angus King. But good for him for doing that. He knows that his constituents matter. And I would just point out, the last time the Democrats flipped a Senate seat, guess when it was? 2022. John Fetterman. Maybe that's the guy you should be listening to.
But they want to kick him out of the park.
Yeah.
They want a primary.
Look, when Democrats throughout the shutdown say they care about America, it is obvious that they just might not care about the Americans in it.
Well, they don't care more than they hate Trump. They hate Trump more than they care about the country.
Yeah. Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every week.
In polls over the last decade, it appears that between 73% to 80% of all Americans feel that term limits are required for elected members of Congress. There are many reasons for this desire, such as insider trading, kickbacks from lobbyists, favoritism, bribery, and purchased legislation, and even treason. These concerns have landed heavily upon Democrats in recent years, but Republicans also have dirty hands. And one man rises to the top when it comes to shady dark campaign money, favoritism, nepotism, and pay-to-play politics. Let's take a look at Mitch McConnell. Who is Mitch McConnell? What is his record in Congress? What controversies surround him? Did he violate any laws? Hello, I'm Colin Heath, former history professor, Army Marine Corps veteran.
Hey, so we paying a visit to the triads. I don't know how they mixed up in all this shit, but I do know that a copy of Dre's phone was at their club. So that's where we starting to look at.
Hey, so just before you go full enhanced interrogation on the bouncer, here's the plan. We access the security camera system and cross-reference the footage with when we know the phone was there.
Shit sounds good to me, but can't we just hack the feed?
No deal. The system is some thrift store level shit. It's not even online. You'll need to get the physical tape from their office.
Oh shit, that's easy. Right, partner?
In 1944, at the age of 2, McConnell's upper left leg was paralyzed by a polio attack. In 1956, the family moved to Louisville, Kentucky, where he attended DuPont Manual High School. During his senior year, he was elected student council president. In 1964, he graduated with honors from the University of Louisville, earning a BA in political science and induction into Omicron Delta Kappa. He was president of the student council of the College of Arts and Sciences and a member of the Phi Kappa Tau fraternity. He graduated from the University of Kentucky College of Law in 1967 and was president of the Student Bar Association. In March of that year, he enlisted in the U.S. Army Reserve as a private. Shortly after his arrival, he was diagnosed with optic neuritis, which deemed him medically unfit for military service. McConnell worked as chief legislative assistant to Senator Marlo Cook in Washington, D.C. from 1968 to 1970. Managing a legislative department, assisting with speechwriting and constituent services. He failed to get a seat in the state legislature in Kentucky because he did not meet the residency requirements for the office, so he worked for the Louisville law firm, Siegel, Eisenberg, Sales, and Stewart, and taught a night class on political science at the University of Louisville. McConnell returned to Washington in 1974 to fill a position as Deputy Assistant Attorney General under President Gerald R. Ford, working with Robert Bork, Lawrence Silberman, and Antonin Scalia. He was also acting United States Assistant Attorney General for the Office of Legislative Affairs under Ford in 1975. In 1977, McConnell was elected the Jefferson County, Kentucky Judge Executive and re-elected in 1981, serving until his election to the U.S. Senate in 1984. McConnell departed from hardline conservatives supporting abortion rights and public employee unions. McConnell played the game well and regularly obtained earmarks for businesses and institutions in Kentucky until Congress banned the practice in 2010. He was criticized for funding temporary patches to Kentucky's long-term health care problems while obstructing national programs such as Obamacare and Medicaid expansion. He also opposed banking reform and stricter campaign finance laws, culminating in the U.S. Supreme Court decision Citizens United versus FEC, which partially overturned the Bipartisan Campaign Reform Act called the McCain-Feingold Act in 2010. McConnell, like many on both sides, did not want restrictions on dark money. McConnell's one crowning achievement was blocking many of President Obama's judicial nominees, including Supreme Court nominee Merrick Garland. Another was in May 2010, after President Obama nominated Elena Kagan to succeed the retired John Paul Stevens. McConnell said in a Senate speech that Americans wanted to make sure Kagan would be independent of influence from White House as an associate justice, and noted that Obama called Kagan a friend of his in announcing her nomination. McConnell announced his opposition to Kagan's confirmation, saying she was not forthcoming enough about her views on basic principles of American constitutional law. However, Kagan was confirmed the next month. Later, under Trump, he did support Amy Coney Barrett to fill the deceased Ruth Bader Ginsburg seat, as well as Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh being confirmed. In April 2017, Senate Republicans led by McConnell eliminated the filibuster for Supreme Court nominations to end debate on the nomination of Neil Gorsuch. But in August 2019, McConnell flipped and wrote an editorial for the New York Times strongly opposing the elimination of the filibuster on legislation. McConnell also pushed Trump's 2017 tax cut through the Senate. In July 2018, McConnell, who said he approved funding for the Mexico-United States border wall, later stated that he would have to wait until the midterm elections. Trump said that he was willing to allow a government shutdown to get funding. Several spending bills were approved that August and were seen as a victory for McConnell in his attempts to prevent another government shutdown. From December 22, 2018 to January 25, 2019, the government shut down when Congress refused to give $5.7 billion in federal funds for the border wall. In December 2018, the Republican-controlled Senate unanimously passed an appropriations bill without wall funding, and the Republican-controlled House of Representatives and Trump appeared likely to approve the bill. Trump faced heavy criticism for appearing to back down on his promise to build the wall, and said he would not sign any appropriations bill that did not fund the wall. McConnell could have cared less about the border. McConnell supported all the COVID-19 legislation